In this episode, we're going to talk about strategic and purposeful relationships. Stay tuned. Hey everyone, thanks for joining me for today's episode of Interview Connections TV. I'm coming to you right here from the middle of my office on my trampoline. I got this trampoline in my office because when you work at a computer desk, it's very important to keep your blood flowing. And I got this idea from my mother-in-law, who is a doctor, and it's good to just bounce every hour. Kelly, who works with me at Interview Connections, she told me I should do a whole episode bouncing. But I'm not going to do that. But I am going to sit on it because it is quite comfortable. In today's episode of Interview Connections TV, we're going to be talking about strategic relationships and purposeful relationships. I came up with this idea after I just had a nice mastermind call with a good friend of mine, Susie Miller. We meet on Mondays and just kind of go over our goals for the week and support each other and hold each other accountable. And we kind of got into talking about the types of guests that we invite on our podcast and also the shows that we go on as guests. You want to be partnering up and being really strategic and purposeful about the people that you have on your podcast and the shows that you go on. Meaning, if you're a podcaster and you have guests on your show, look for guests that are kind of on the same level with you, people that you can help build up. So maybe you're a little bit more successful, a little bit more known. You can kind of expand their following by presenting them to your audience. But also at the same time, maybe they have information that can help you grow your business. Far too often, I see podcasters that only want guests who have this giant following, have this giant audience, because they believe that having a guest with a huge following is going to be their secret to high downloads. And in reality, that's not going to work because you're entering that relationship with thinking, what can I get from this guest? And you should look at this the same way if you're a guest expert getting interviewed on other podcasts. Look at how you are going to bring value to that situation. A lot of times people only want to be on the biggest podcast because they want to be in front of the biggest audiences. But really think about, will me being a guest on this podcast, will that help them grow their audience? Will it help that podcaster keep listeners longer? Will it motivate listeners to come back and see who that host brought on next week? If you can confidently say that yes, you will 100% help this podcast grow, then go for it. If your primary reason for going to that big top-ranked podcast is because you want to be in front of the audience that they built, then I would encourage you to not go for that podcast because you're primarily looking at what you can take from the opportunity. And you want to be strategic and you want to be purposeful. If you're only focusing on what you can take from the situation, it is not it is not a two-way street. Be really mindful about what you can give to the situation in addition to what you can get from that opportunity. So that is my lesson for you today. Be purposeful, be mindful. Don't just look for the biggest podcast because you want to be in front of that audience. Don't just look for the celebrity guest because you want them to be on your show to get you more listeners. Look at the guests that you can help. Be a giver. Don't just be a taker. If you want to listen to my podcast, go to roadstosuccesspodcast.com. And to learn how we can work together, visit interviewconnections.com. I blog about this stuff every week as well, so go to JessicaRhodes.biz if you want to read my blog. Thanks everyone. I am Jessica Rhodes. I'm committed to helping you leverage your brand through the power of authority and expertise. Catch us next Tuesday for another great episode of Interview Connections TV.